Hi, my name is Sabrina. In today's video, I want to talk about muscle disorders in horses. That are horses with stiff, painful muscles. They can be exercise intolerant. They also can be extremely explosive, especially in cold weather. I want to talk about this typical symptoms. I want to talk about the different abbreviations that are around from MFM, RER, MIM, and PSSM, and want to talk about what these abbreviations mean and how to approach these myopathies in a holistic way. Let's get started. So what are typical symptoms of muscle disorders? Horses can be stiff, can refuse to move, can appear to be very lazy. They also can become increasingly lazy during exercise. This, for example, is a 4-year-old Trakehner warm blood horse with an Anglo-Arabian father. You can tell that it's rolling its neck too far down, having difficulties to carry itself. Then you can see it basically freezing here at this time. Or they can be very explosive. This sudden explosive behavior can also lead to severe accidents. So that is a really dangerous symptom of muscle disorders. The horses can have difficulties to carry the rider, may even refuse to let the rider get on their back. They can show defensive behavior when being saddled or girthed or groomed, or even aggressive behavior. This aggressive behavior can manifest itself in aggression against humans, but also aggression against other horses. And horses with muscle disorders can also often refuse to load the trailer and rage on the trailer. And they can have other signs like colic or also coughing. Many cases of equine asthma are actually related to the muscles used for breathing. And muscle disorders are very often accompanied by gastric ulcers. These horses want to give their best and cannot because they have pain. And that conflict, that causes stress for them, and that results in gastric ulcers. So what about all the confusing abbreviations around, and what do they mean? First of all, there's PSSM or PSSM1. PSSM stands for polysaccharide storage myopathy. And there we know the mutated gene. It's an enzyme that synthesizes glycogen from glucose. And this enzyme is hyperactive and disorganized, leading to plaques of glycogen in the muscles. And also the glycogen then in exercise is not readily available to provide energy for muscle function. These horses are clearly exercise intolerant. And then we also have PSSM2. So what is this? This is mostly abandoned nowadays. It's an old acronym because that described muscle disorders that look similar to PSSM1 but do not show the mutation that we know. And nowadays our thinking is that there is no saccharide storage myopathy behind this. It's not correlated to the sugar metabolism in the muscle cells. These disorders are often summarized as MIM, muscle integrity myopathy nowadays. And that comprises a panel of 6 genes that may be correlated to these disorders. And there is a lot of discussion in the literature whether this really makes sense, these genetic testings or not. And I just want to point out that 4 of these 6 genes are also known to cause muscle disorders in humans, and there they are widely accepted. And then we have 2 other acronyms, MFM and RER. MFM stands for myofibrillar myopathy, and these are disorders that can be identified from biopsies, and they show changes in the fine structure of the muscles. And in these genetic testings, 5 of the 6 genes are said to be correlated with MFM. And then we have RER, recurrent, exercise-induced rhabdomyolysis. And this is known since decades for full-blood horses, race horses, and it's probably correlated to calcium metabolism in the cells. And these RER horses are also clearly exercise intolerant, but this rhabdomyolysis is reversible, just giving horses a rest. So what do we do from a holistic perspective with these horses? And there are several things that we can do. First of all, housing. Stable-based housing is not ideal for horses with muscle disorders. These horses benefit from the possibility to be able to move constantly. So I recommend open barn systems for these horses. Also, I suggest to keep them warm in winter and to keep them from wind and rain. So provide a shelter that is large enough for all the horses in the group if you have an open barn system. Also, these horses benefit from a rug in cold conditions. Key factor in managing horses with muscle disorders is the feeding. PSSM1 horses benefit from a low-carb diet, meaning there is low sugar in the feeding. That means no oats, no cereals overall, no carrots, no apples, nothing. That is important for these horses. For all other horses with muscle disorders, that is not a key point. For all the horses with myopathies, it's important to provide high protein, up to double of the maintenance level, then low calcium, and no additional vitamin D, which increases the uptake of calcium. Then a high level of vitamin E. That's a key point, especially in winter, because vitamin E has disappeared from hay. And then it's important to provide the trace element selenium in its organic form, meaning an amino acid containing selenium, which is extremely important for muscle function. While the high protein diet is generally accepted in the literature, the role of calcium is often overlooked. The low calcium feeding is relevant for all horses with myopathies, as calcium plays a role in muscle contraction. And if we overfeed calcium, that can lead to cramps of the muscles. And also, that is directly related to vitamin D. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. This is just a traditional term. Vitamin D is a hormone, and it regulates the resorption of calcium from the intestines. And so we should avoid feeding additional vitamin D to horses. There's also a lot of vitamin D in hay and grass. There's absolutely no symptoms described of vitamin D deficiency in horses. So we should avoid feeding additional vitamin D with other products like forage balancers, for example. Then the vitamin E is also extremely relevant for muscle function, and that directly correlates to the selenium. These are all points that have to be part of the diet for horses. And I do a lot of consulting work in Germany for MIM horses and their feeding. And this is all these points are based on my experience. So what has traditional Chinese veterinary medicine to offer in these cases? First of all, the Chinese thinking definitely supports the idea that feeding is a key part of keeping a horse healthy. So there is a big overlap with our understanding from a Western perspective that feeding for these horses is a key point. And then there are two other elements of TCVM that can be applied here. First of all, acupuncture. There are acupuncture points that are correlated to relaxing muscles, and these are small intestine 3 and liver 3. Also, these points are not located in areas where there are muscles. Many of these horses with myopathies will reject acupuncture if you put the needle into a muscle that is already painful and stiff. So these acupuncture points that are low on the extremities and there are no muscles. And then there's the herbal formula number 61, Shu Mover, in my Yao Tang series. This formula moves qi and shu. The flowing substances qi and shu travel through the meridians or channels through the body according to traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. And if this flow is inhibited, if it stagnates, that is the source of pain. So therefore this formula moves qi and shu again. It also warms the meridians, it expels cold, and it supports the organ systems of the liver and the kidney. And these two organ systems are responsible for movement. I suggest to feed this formula at 10 grams a day for 10 days at any painful episodes in these horses with muscle disorders. This could be at the beginning of changing the feeding or also after accidental overexercise or just sudden cold weather conditions. This formula supports the horse to get out of the vicious cycle of muscle cramps and muscle pain. You find more information about my Yao Tang formulas in my book, Yao Tang, Chinese Herbs for Horses and Dogs, which is available on Amazon. And also, you can find out about my distribution network for Yao Tang formulas on my website. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which topic I should cover next on my channel, because I will record more and more videos about traditional Chinese veterinary medicine and how it can help horses and dogs. Let's join forces for a better life for our animals. See you in my next video.